John, David, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks for giving us some time. John, you're the Managing Director of Emico. Tell me what that means.
Well, Emico is a business building services provider, so we work in commercial, residential, industrial and infrastructure. So we do a lot of work on Network Rail, London Underground, high-end residential, schools. So we provide mechanical and electrical engineering services to main contractors and to our clients.
And being the Managing Director, you run the shop.
I try to.
And would your primary customer be those names you've just mentioned?
Yeah.
So you're in a contractual relationship with them, basically.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And who would your suppliers be?
Our suppliers,
sort of person.
well, we have suppliers that manufacture equipment for us, and then we have our supply chain, our subcontractors. So in one half of our business, we self-deliver and we try and do everything in-house and ourselves. In the other side of our business, our non-rail, non-infrastructure side, we use our supply chain. So we use subcontractors.
Who contract with you, and then you still contract with the big fella at the top.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's just a different business model.
Yeah. And David, you're the commercial director?
Correct.
Right. And what does that mean?
I take care of all the projects, all the financial side and the legal side. We have standard contracts, and I control all the quantity surveyors and all the commercial managers within the business.
So you try to herd stray cats, do you?
I do. It's very difficult sometimes, and obviously cash is a major consideration of that work that I do, and that's why I think URICA is a good product.
In your day-to-day commercial relationships, you have the big fellas who owe you the money.
Yes.
And you have smaller businesses who you owe money to.
Who are dependent upon us, yeah.
And dependent upon you. And URICA sits there with you as your partner and trying to facilitate both sides of that equation.
Yes.
Yeah. Give me an example, John, just for a minute. Where you found some value added in what URICA do for you?
If we are trying to set up a new project and we have to place a lot of orders, so at the start of a job we will select products, we will do technical submittals, we'll make sure that the client is now happy with what has been designed and selected. We then need to place orders with manufacturers for switchgear, for lights, for air handling units, and that's a big drag on our cash. Therefore, we would like to say to our suppliers and manufacturers, rather than pay you in 60 days, as we're used to doing, could you give us an extra 1% discount and we can pay you in 5 days or 7 days or 0 days? We'll pay you when you deliver. So that's a really attractive feature. And
do people play ball with that?
We find it difficult for people to accept that, because URICA is presenting a new product.
Yeah.
Now, anything new, people resist it.
Suspect it.
Yeah. And it's trying to sell it up and down the chain. We presented to Skanska recently, and they thought it was a really good idea. But it's difficult to get people to buy into it.
I found, I've been involved with URICA almost from the day it started. And I started as doing a bit of work for them as an advisor, then became more intimately involved with them as they grew and developed, and now I'm on the board. And I'm very proud to be a non-exec director at URICA. The biggest reason it turned me on, it is a different way of going to market. It is novel, it is innovative. And I just think if we're going to make a success of productivity enhancement in Britain, if we're going to ensure, especially in a post-Brexit world, that we really can maximise the commercial relationship up and down, I think the time has come for URICA to shine. If there's an inhibitor, it is exactly that. It's to get people both sides of the chain to understand it's new.
To think differently.
And you're finding that it adds value.
Oh, it definitely adds value, and it definitely frees up money, makes money available earlier, but it's difficult. We have done it down the chain, but we have yet to do it up the chain.
What about yourself, David?
What tends to happen is, John's absolutely right, resistance is a thing, but what tends to happen down the chain, people say, well, you're selling your debt, and they're wary of it. And if you become wary of it, resistance will be then they say, well, this company's got cash flow problems.
Yeah.
Why are they selling the debt? On the flip side, you've got the Construction Act sort of works against us a little bit with our clients, because there's the set process of the Construction Act. So that clashes sometimes with the payment. And so our stance is we need to go to the CEOs of those businesses, the MDs, and explain, look, URICA is a good thing. We can pass cash down to our supply chain. It helps us grow as a business. It helps you because we can deliver the project better, and we're stronger. So from that point of view, it would be really, really good. But John is absolutely right. We struggle with resistance.
One of the things I think in the construction industry, it will be of real help, is I get so many letters and emails from small businesses who either see me on television or they write to me at the House of Lords or whatever. And the facts are always different, but the essential premise is exactly the same, which is big construction company, does the deal, constantly pays on time, everything else. Then the last one, it's, well, if you want any money, cut your price. Otherwise, yeah, but just a minute, we've got a contract. This is what it is. We've done the work. Tough. Now, if we could take that ability out, because everybody's got paid on time and everybody actually enjoys a bit of discount because of it, that has to help the smaller businesses of the country.
It does, absolutely. It's just getting over the Construction Act. It's the last part of the Construction Act is that you can, technically, one day before you're paid, be issued with a payless notice, which means that anything you've certified can be taken away from you. I think the thing with URICA is if we get the understanding where, look, URICA will send you an email, you click the email, and that allows cash to go to Emico. It doesn't hurt you in any way. There's no contractual problem with it. If you still want to withhold our money at the end, you can do. Yep. URICA understands that process.
Of course.
But if we can get that across to them, it will change things. It's something the construction industry needs.
And wouldn't it be wonderful if in the supply chain, up and down, by taking the time is money equation out of it, you end up with a more productive process. I mean, everybody wins.
It's collaboration, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have left your time is left to work, do the work you're meant to do.
Of course. And the old image, which we try very hard to dispel, I think we're winning, is this concept, you mentioned it earlier, David, this idea of, if you're what they would see as factoring your debt, we don't, you're factoring your debt, you must have money trouble, which is, of course, not true.
No.
And it's because you're adding value as opposed to substitutional. And it's success stories like yourselves, where you're a fabulous business doing the business and you're using this.
Yes.
That's the way to actually show it works, to be honest. When you go into a new project and you're asked to quote, and you're asked to tender, and you're asked to say how you do it, so it's not just what you're going to charge, it's how you go to market and what you do. Do you factor URICA into that? I don't mean you mention us, I don't mean that. But I mean, do you think, well, if I use URICA, I can do that, therefore that's going to factor in how much I charge or how I do it? Or not? I mean,
we do sometimes, although we would probably rely on our supply chain, if we can pay them earlier, to take some of that, because they benefit from us.
Yeah.
And if we can pass it the other way with our clients, we'd probably take our hit because it's good for our cash. So yes and no, it depends. We would look at each individual project.
We are factoring URICA into all our presentation to clients. Every time we get a chance to present to a client, we bring up URICA, we bring up cash flow, we bring up partnering.
Yeah. And I think that's the future as well, you see, because it takes it above the line in a way in terms of radar screen.
Yeah.
Sort of, that's innovative, that's different. What's in it for me? X, Y, Z. And it suddenly becomes a part of the future as opposed to something that's done after the event.
Yeah.
In a way, although after the event is fine from a provision of money point of view, it's not where the innovative difference is. The innovative difference is how you go to market, as opposed to, right, you're already there, how can I save a few basis points here? I mean, that's great, but it's not actually where the lockstep of
But if we got our customers to buy into it, we could go in 1% cheaper.
Exactly.
And that might win us the project.
And they of course make money out of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
and our supply chain do like it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have lots of subcontractors, small growing subcontractors. For us, I suppose it's the new people that take to it.
Yeah.
Because they can see, well, look, they
Yeah.
give me my money right now. I've never had that before. Whereas the bigger suppliers would have a problem with it. They've got their own deals, they've got their own banking. It's all done. It's dusted. They've probably got a 2-year deal, and it's hard to break. So from that point of view, it's difficult.
I think one of the problems going forward as an inhibitor to growth, funnily enough, is the big established businesses. I don't mean by that they're not good, of course they are.
Yeah.
I don't mean by that they don't have value, of course they do. But they're less receptive to innovative change.
They're already on a path to make money themselves.
And it's not just construction.
No,
it's not just infrastructure. It's all over the economy. You know, the bigger they are, it's far more difficult to get them to buy into a new idea unless they thought of it themselves. If they thought of it themselves, it's the best thing since sliced bread. If they didn't, it's just difficult. Yes. Usually because you see politically within the organisation, there's somebody who actually has already persuaded the main board to spend a load of dough on doing something.
Yes.
So to go and get them to say, by the way, you've got to go in there and say it's different, bit tricky because of the politics of the organisation. So the earlier and the better we get into these things, I think the more value added we provide, and I think the less scary, is that a good word, it becomes. But you're onto something. I mean, you're succeeding more because of it.
We are. And I think that the more we introduce it, and we intend to introduce it more and more and more, it will help Emico. Yeah. There's no doubt it will help Emico.
And Emico makes more money. The supplier does. The subby does, and the main contractor does. And by the way, somebody else does. Not only does URICA make more money, but then you pay my wages, and for that I'm eternally grateful.
You're very welcome. Yeah.
David, great to see you, John.
Thanks you.
Thanks for
your time.
All the best to you. Cheers.